The billionaire froze mid-sentence. Because the woman sitting across from him just said something no one had ever said to him before. "I've never been with a man." The restaurant went quiet in his head. Not because it was loud, but because something about the way she said it wasn't flirtatious, it was terrified. If you're watching this right now, I need you to stay till the very end, because what happened after that confession changed both of their lives in ways no one could have predicted. And before we go any further, drop your city in the comments. I want to see how far this story is reaching. Now listen closely. Because this isn't just a date story. Thomas Smith didn't do normal dates. At 34, he was one of Florida's most feared and respected billionaires. Real estate, private equity, quiet deals that never made the news. Men shook his hand with respect. Women approached him with calculated smiles. Everything in his world was controlled. Predictable, transactional, until tonight. Eva Williams wasn't supposed to be different. She was 24. Blonde. Soft-spoken. Recommended by someone in his circle. On paper. Perfect. But from the moment she sat down across from him at the oceanfront restaurant in Miami, something felt off. She wasn't playing the game. No seductive smiles, no subtle touches, no trying to impress him. Instead, she kept her hands folded tightly in her lap, like she was holding herself together. "You're not eating," Thomas said, his voice calm but observant. "I'm not really hungry." Lie, he could tell instantly. Her glass of water trembled slightly in her hand. That's when his instincts kicked in. Something was wrong. And Thomas Smith built his empire on reading people. "You nervous?" he asked. Eva hesitated, then nodded. That wasn't normal. Women didn't get nervous around him like this. They got excited, ambitious, strategic, but not afraid. And that's when the first crack appeared in his perfectly controlled evening. "You don't have to be," he said, leaning back slightly. "It's just dinner." Eva swallowed. "It's not just dinner." That made him pause. "What is it then?" She looked up at him for the first time. Really looked, and in her eyes, there was something he hadn't seen in years. Fear, real fear, not the kind people had of his power. But something deeper, something personal. "I shouldn't have come," she whispered. Now his attention sharpened. That sentence changed everything. "Then why did you?" Thomas asked quietly. A long silence followed, the kind that stretches and pulls the viewer deeper. Open loop, unanswered question. Why is she here? What is she hiding? Eva's fingers tightened around the edge of the table. "My parents, they thought this was a good idea." There it was, a clue, not the full truth, but enough to shift the tone. Thomas's jaw tightened slightly. "I see." But he didn't, not yet. "Do you do this often?" she asked suddenly. "What?" "Go on dates like this?" He almost smiled. "Not really." Another lie, but a controlled one. He wasn't used to being questioned like this. And definitely not by someone who looked like they might bolt at any second. The waiter arrived, food was placed, neither of them touched it. Tension built, silence stretched again. Then it happened, the moment that changed everything. "I've never been with a man." She said it quickly, like ripping off a bandage. But the aftermath was anything but quick. Thomas didn't respond immediately. Didn't move, didn't blink, because something inside him shifted. Not desire, not excitement, something darker, something protective. And something dangerously close to anger. Not at her, but at whoever put her here. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked slowly. Eva's lips trembled. "Because I need you to understand something." "Understand what?" "That I don't belong here." Her voice broke slightly, "and I don't know how to do this." Now things weren't adding up, at all. Thomas leaned forward slightly. "You don't know how to go on a date." "That's not what I mean." "Then explain it." His tone wasn't harsh, but it carried authority, control. The kind that demanded answers. Eva took a shaky breath. My parents said, this would help us. Help us, another clue, another open loop. What does she mean by help? What situation is she in? Help with what? Thomas asked. She hesitated again, too long, and that's when he knew. Whatever she was about to say was going to change everything. But instead of answering, she looked down and whispered something so quietly, he almost didn't hear it. They said, you'd take care of me. Silence, heavy, uncomfortable, dangerous. Thomas's expression hardened. That sentence told him more than she realized. This wasn't a date, not for her. This was something else entirely. Something arranged, something wrong. Take care of you how? He asked. Eva shook her head quickly. I don't know. I don't know. They just said. I had to come. Had to, not wanted to, not chose to, but had to. And just like that, the entire dynamic shifted. From billionaire and date, to something far more complicated. Thomas leaned back slowly, studying her, reevaluating everything. The restaurant, the setup, the recommendation, her behavior. The fear, and the confession. And then he asked the question that would break everything open. How old are you? Eva looked up, 24. And your parents sent you here, to me? She nodded, barely. That's when Thomas Smith felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not power, not control, but something far more dangerous. Rage. Because for the first time, this wasn't a business deal. And it wasn't a game. It was a girl, sitting across from him, who looked like she had just walked into something she didn't understand. And somehow, he was at the center of it. He picked up his phone, dialed a number, put it on speaker. Eva's eyes widened. What are you doing? Thomas didn't look at her. I'm about to find out who sent you here. His voice turned cold, and why? The phone started ringing. Once, twice, 3 times. Then someone picked up. And the voice on the other end said something that made Eva's face go completely pale. Is she with you already? Is she with you already? The voice on the phone was calm. Too calm, like this was routine, like Eva Williams was expected. Thomas didn't respond immediately. He turned his head slowly and looked at Eva. Her face had gone completely pale. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came out. That reaction alone told him everything. She knew that voice. Yes, Thomas finally said, his tone flat. She's here. Then a low chuckle came through the speaker. Good. Then everything is going according to plan. Plan. That word hit like a trigger. Eva's hand shot to her mouth. No, she whispered. Thomas's eyes darkened. What plan? Silence on the other end. Then. You weren't supposed to call me in front of her. That was all he needed. Who is this? Thomas asked, voice turning colder. Then the truth slipped out. Her father. Everything stopped. Eva shook her head immediately. No, 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 no. Her voice cracked as panic flooded in. You said you wouldn't. Eva, her father cut in sharply, just listen to me. No. You said this was just dinner. Her breathing became uneven, fast, breaking. You said I just had to meet him. And you are meeting him, her father snapped. So calm down and do what we discussed. Thomas's grip tightened around the phone. Every word made the picture clearer, and worse. What exactly did you discuss? Thomas asked. This time, the father didn't hesitate. You're a smart man, Mr. Smith. I assume you understand arrangements when you see one. Arrangement, there it was. Eva let out a broken sound. No, no, that's not. You told me this wasn't that, she cried. I told you what you needed to hear to get you there, her father replied coldly. Silence crashed over the table, heavy, suffocating. Thomas stood up slowly, not in anger, not yet. But something inside him was shifting. Something dangerous. You sent your daughter to me, Thomas said quietly. Without telling her what this really is. It's not personal, the father replied. It's business. That word again, business. She's not a contract, Thomas said. She's an asset, the father corrected. That was it, that was the moment everything changed. Eva pushed her chair back suddenly, standing up so fast it scraped loudly against the floor. I'm leaving, she said, her voice shaking violently. I'm leaving right now. Sit down, her father's voice snapped through the phone. And instinctively, she froze. Thomas saw it, that automatic obedience, that fear, that control. No, Thomas said, his voice cutting through the moment. Eva looked at him, confused, shaking, lost. No one tells you to sit down, he added. The phone went silent for a second, then the father laughed. You think you're saving her? I think you're done talking, Thomas replied. You need this deal, the father said, his tone sharpening. Don't pretend you don't. The land, the connections, everything goes through me. Ah, now the real motive surfaced, not just desperation, leverage. Thomas smiled slightly, but there was no warmth in it. You think I need you? I know you do. Then Thomas said something that changed the entire direction of the night. No deal is worth this. Silence, even the restaurant noise seemed distant now. Eva stared at him. Like she didn't understand what she was hearing. Like this wasn't supposed to happen. You're walking away, her father asked, disbelief creeping in. I'm hanging up, Thomas corrected. And then, he ended the call. Just like that. The silence that followed was louder than anything before. Eva stood there, frozen, trying to process what just happened. You can sit, Thomas said calmly. This time, it wasn't a command, it was an option. Slowly, she sat back down. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't know. Her voice cracked again. I swear I didn't know. Thomas studied her, carefully. Not like a man evaluating a deal. But like someone trying to understand damage. I believe you, he said. And that alone broke something in her. Tears filled her eyes instantly. Because that was the first time anyone had said that to her tonight. I thought this was just, she couldn't finish. I know, Thomas said. Another silence, but this one felt different. Less threatening, more fragile. Then he asked the question that shifted everything again. Do you want to leave? Eva blinked, like she didn't understand the question. Leave. Yes. Right now. Her eyes flickered toward the door, then back to him. Then down to her hands. I don't know. Truth, raw, unfiltered. Because leaving meant going back. Back to the same people who sent her here. Back to the same pressure, the same expectations. You don't have to go back tonight, Thomas said. And just like that, another shift. Another hook, another question. Eva looked up slowly. What do you mean? I mean, he said, his voice steady, controlled, you have options. Options, a word she clearly wasn't used to. What kind of options? She asked quietly. Thomas leaned back, studying her again. But this time, there was no calculation. Only decision. You can walk out of here, he said, and I'll make sure you get home safe. Then. Or what? She asked. Or you can stay. Her breath caught. Stay, she repeated. Not like your father planned, Thomas said quickly. Not like that. His tone hardened slightly. I don't do anything I don't choose. And I don't take anything that isn't freely given. Then why would I stay? She asked. That question lingered, heavy, important. Thomas didn't answer immediately. Because even he didn't fully understand it yet. But then he said something that surprised even himself. Because something about this isn't finished. And right there, everything changed again. Eva stared at him, trying to understand what he meant. Trying to understand him. But before she could respond, Thomas's phone buzzed. He looked down, a message, unknown number. He opened it, and his expression darkened instantly. "What is it?" Eva asked, fear creeping back in. He didn't answer, just turned the phone toward her. It was a picture of them, taken from outside the restaurant. Sitting at the table, watching. The message underneath read, "You should have taken the deal." Eva's hand started shaking again. "Who sent that?" she whispered. Thomas's jaw tightened. Someone who just turned this into a lot more than a bad date. He looked at her, eyes cold, focused, dangerous. "Now you don't just have a problem with your father. You have a problem with me. You have a problem with me." The words hung in the air, heavy, final. Eva's heart started racing again. Not the quiet fear from before, but something sharper. More dangerous. "What does that mean?" she asked. Thomas didn't answer immediately, he was already moving. Standing, scanning the restaurant, calculating. Because now this wasn't just a situation. It was a signal, and he knew exactly what kind. "They're watching," he said quietly. Eva's chest tightened. Who is they? People who don't like being ignored. Thomas pulled out his phone again. Dialed a number. This time, he didn't put it on speaker. "Get a team outside. Now," he said. Quietly. He hung up, then looked at Eva, really looked. "Can you walk?" he asked. She blinked. "Yes. I think so." "Good," he said. "Stay close to me." That alone told her everything. This wasn't over, not even close. They stood, started walking toward the exit. Every step felt louder than it should, every movement felt watched. Eva's fingers trembled slightly at her side. She didn't know who these people were, didn't understand the rules. But she knew one thing, this had gone way beyond a date. Halfway to the door, Thomas stopped. Eva almost walked into him. "What?" "Don't look," he said quietly. "Just listen." Her breath caught. "There's a man at the bar," Thomas continued. "Blue shirt. Watching us." Fear shot through her instantly. "What do we do?" she whispered. Thomas's expression didn't change. "We leave," he said. Simple, direct, controlled. But as they reached the door, it happened. The men moved, fast, too fast. Eva gasped. Thomas stepped in front of her instantly. Blocking her completely. Authority, protection. "Wrong move," Thomas said coldly. The men stopped, smirked slightly. "You should have taken the deal," he repeated. Same words as the message. Now the threat had a face. Eva's stomach dropped. "I'm not interested," Thomas replied. The man tilted his head, studying him. "You will be." And then, sirens. Not loud, not obvious, but close enough. The man's smirk faded. "Another time," he said. And just like that, he turned. And disappeared into the crowd. Gone. Eva exhaled shakily, her legs almost gave out. Thomas caught her, but stopped himself halfway. Remembering. Instead, he steadied her without holding. "Come on," he said. Outside, a black SUV pulled up instantly. Two men stepped out, sharp, alert, controlled. Thomas opened the door, looked at her. "Get in." No hesitation this time, Eva got in. Because now, there was no question. She wasn't safe, not with her father, not alone, not anywhere. The car pulled away, silence filled the space between them. Then, "I'm sorry," she whispered again. Thomas looked at her. "For what?" he asked. "For all of this." He shook his head slightly. "This isn't on you." It never was. That hit her harder than anything else. Because for the first time, someone wasn't blaming her. The city lights blurred past the window. "Where are we going?" she asked quietly. "My place." Her heart skipped, not fear this time, something else. Uncertainty. "Am I safe there?" she asked. Thomas didn't hesitate. Yes. And somehow, she believed him. The penthouse was everything you'd expect. Glass, steel, power. But to Eva, it felt like something else entirely. A pause, a breath, a moment to think. She stood near the entrance, unsure. Thomas set his keys down, turned to face her. "This is where we figure things out," he said. "Figure out what?" she asked. "Whether you're a problem or a priority." Eva's chest tightened. "And which one am I?" she asked. Thomas looked at her for a long moment, then said something that changed everything. "You're the first thing in a long time." That made me stop. Because for a man like Thomas Smith, that meant everything. Eva swallowed. "I don't know what I'm supposed to do," she admitted. "Good," he replied. That surprised her. "Why?" "Because it means you're not pretending." Another shift, another layer. He walked past her, stopped at the hallway. "You can take the guest room," he said. "No pressure, no expectation, no hidden meaning. Just choice." Eva stood there, processing everything. The fear, the danger, the truth. And the man in front of her. Who was supposed to be the worst part of this. But somehow wasn't. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. Thomas didn't turn around, but his answer came immediately. "Because I had a choice tonight. And for once." He glanced back at her. "I didn't choose power." That hit deep. Because that was the real climax, not the threat, not the confrontation. The choice. Eva nodded slowly. For the first time since the night started, her shoulders relaxed. Just a little. Maybe, just maybe. She wasn't trapped anymore. But as she walked toward the guest room, Thomas's phone buzzed again. He checked it, and his expression darkened. Because the message read, "You chose wrong." Because this was just the beginning. If you made it this far, you already know this story isn't just ordinary. So tell me, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more stories like this, raw, emotional, and unpredictable, make sure you hit subscribe. Because the next story might be even darker.